Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Zach Young, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're joined by David Schloss, an online entrepreneur, digital marketing specialist, speaker, and founder of Convert ROI. David has been in the online marketing world since 2007, building his expertise from his college apartment and growing into a leader in paid traffic and customer acquisition strategy. Over the years, he has helped hundreds of businesses improve website traffic, increase customer acquisition, and boost revenue using sophisticated social advertising across platforms like Meta, Google, YouTube, and TikTok. Passionate about turning complex ad campaigns into clear revenue-producing systems, David brings a data-driven approach to performance marketing and business growth. David, a very, very warm welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here and happy to share everything that I can with the business and what is working today.
Absolutely. We will dive right into that. I do like to start with your background, though. I know I touched on it briefly, but before Convert ROI, can you walk us through what were you doing previously and what was really your inspiration to get into this space?
Yeah, so I started back in 2007. I was 18 years old, right? So the platform itself that I'm most known for is Meta, back then just Facebook. And the ad platform just recently, up to that point, was just released. Everyone was like, what is this network? What is Facebook? It was still very new. It was in its infancy. Really, most of the money they were making was off these right-hand side ads, and they had some landscape ads on the login page, and that was it. And so I was lucky enough to get access to it very early on. They had a public beta, and then naturally they just opened it up to everybody on the network. And at 18 years old, to be broke in college, but knew that something was going to come from this at some point in my life. I knew I wanted to get into advertising and marketing. I just didn't know in what level of that. Was it going to be social? Was it going to be traditional PPC? Or maybe I was going to do something else like SEO or web design. I just did a little bit of everything. But I went headfirst into the social side because it was an evolving industry that still many people didn't tap into. Even to this day, I kind of feel like people are still neglecting how you can utilize social. But back then, no one cared about social. And so I was very much in a space where I was hoping that in a year, 2, even 4 years later, I would be ahead of the game in a space where eventually people would be like, I need this thing. And I'd be able to charge handsomely for it and do it as a full-time business. Of course, I struggled along the way, but by the time I had graduated 4 years later, not only did I have this degree that I'm not using, I still don't use it to this day, but it was one of those things where I now had a business that I was able to do full-time remotely, back when remote was not a thing that most people did. I worked from home, and I had double-digit clients at my disposal at 22 years old that I'm running paid ads for on a network that people still at that time had no clue how it worked. And so I was just looking into the future as to, is this something I'd be able to continually work on and do whenever I want, whenever I choose to, in any location that I want to be in, and enjoy it. And to this day, I still operate in the same fashion as I did back in 2007. So yeah, that was how I got things started.
Very cool. I was going to say early on, but you were literally there right at the beginning. That's not early on. That's right at the beginning. You were
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I'm sure the business has gone through a few different iterations over almost 20 years, but
Sure.
could you walk us through Convert ROI today? The work you're doing, who you're doing it with, everything like that.
Sure. So I would say Convert ROI is actually the second iteration of my agency along the way, right? So what we focus on now is, it's a little bit of brick and mortar, a little bit of digital, right? It's a combination of different business types that I work with on a day-to-day basis. But what we're really brought in for are scaling of those businesses. Oftentimes, these people come to us because they've hit a ceiling, or something has happened in their ad accounts or in their business where they just simply cannot break through the level of spend that they're at, or that they've maximized their revenue up to a certain point with their advertising, and they just want to figure out how can they exceed that because they haven't been able to see any exponential growth in years, right? There have been some people who've come to us, let's say on the digital product landscape, where they're still referencing the heyday of their accounts. Oh, back in 2019 and 2022, it's like, it's not the same. Like even just last year, I can't tell you what worked last year is still going to work now, because there's small changes every day to this network that over time, as you compile it all, you realize, oh, I can't do a lot of what I was doing last year. I can't just launch 2 ads and all of a sudden it just works. Now I'm having to launch 20 at a time just to find one that's going to work. And
Mm.
so what I'm seeing now is the people that we're working with, whether they're digital product, physical product, whether they're an established business or maybe they've only been around for a couple years, they're all coming to us with the same narrative. We've hit a ceiling. We don't know why we can't exceed it. We're not seeing something in the account that maybe you could pinpoint for us. And once you have pinpointed that for us, can you either tell us what to do or can you just do it for us? That's it. There's really no other way around it. I've been a cleaner of accounts all year. And it's merely just because everyone is sticking to their guns as to like, this is what we know how to do. And we're just going to keep doing that. Whereas I'm looking at it as, what do I need to do that's not being done by the masses? I need to do the complete opposite. Because
Mm.
right now, everyone is doing the exact same thing, or they're doing exactly what Meta says, and that's it. They're not trying to be creative or try to, decode the algo. They're just sticking to the rules. And every time I've broken those rules, we seem to get the results. So I'm the one that comes in as like, how about we just do this and see what happens? And that's why we've been able to continually grow all year.
Mm. Love that. So you mentioned something I want to ask. You essentially have to be watching it every day, like you mentioned, because it changes every single day.
Mm-hmm.
How does one go about that? How are you doing it to stay so in tune with the market?
So the easy answer could be I just read a lot. But there's also
Mm.
AI where now I've set up like a reminder system in my Slack where every day I get articles sent to my Slack to read about Andromeda or something going on at TikTok or something that's going on at YouTube because all these different networks, they have their own blogs. They have their own news centers where they deliver out here's what's new. But most people don't know that they exist. That's number one, right? They go to these blog sites, Social Media Examiner, right? Oh, it's the social media depository of all things social. Just go to Meta's news and articles section and read the last three things they posted today, right? It's like all you have to do is go there and get your summary of what you need to know so that way you can stay up to date with what's going on in the network. But as an agency, people forget that if you run any sort of advertising for people, you also have the news and articles for the back end side of the platforms too. It's not just what's readily available to the public, they also have just the depository of information for those who are running ads actively, right? Or are, let's say, if you are someone that's considered like a journalist, they have their own section of content for the people who are journalists because that is specific to them and what they can learn. Or if you're someone who's a celebrity or influencer or whatever it may be, there's a PR side of Meta where they could deliver content to you as to like, here's what's new in the platform, here's what you need to know about monetization. Like they have catered to information for everybody, but we're only just looking at the surface level stuff. And so I built out, thanks to I built out like a notification system to my Slack every day, just sending me anything new posted to any of these sites. So that way I'm always up to date. And then I, of course, have it all summarized as well. Like, what's the important points? I don't want to read the whole thing. Just give me the important points so I could just plug it into my brain
Yeah.
because that alone puts you 10 steps ahead of your nearest competitor. Because most of these people are just waiting for something to happen and then it's publicly announced. Let's say, Zuck comes out one day and he's like, all right, the update's live. And then all of a sudden, everyone's talking about the update. I've been talking about Andromeda since last December. Not this December, last December, because that's when it was first talked about. Right. So it's like, I'm staying up to date with these things now and making changes now so that way our clients can benefit from it later. And
Mm.
so everyone in the agency game, or if you run ads, or if you do social content planning and scheduling for people, like every one of the networks you work on has content delivered for you, readily available about what's changing, and you just don't know it's there. So go dig for it.
It's there.
Mm-hmm.
You've been on Facebook for almost 20 years now, and you
Yes,
brought him
sir.
up, so I'll ask. What do you think about Zuck?
He's cool now. Um, so here's the thing. He did exactly what every CEO needed to do in the beginning. All right. He was cutthroat. He was making changes really quickly. He was buying up companies, merging the technology, grew the revenue incredibly fast, went public, made a boatload of money, and then he rebranded himself. Right. Because at some point, once the government was coming after him and, various governments, uh, it was quite obvious that something needed to change. Now, most CEOs just like buy their way out of situations like that. I'm not saying like paying off people. I'm talking about they just sort of push down the negativity and then they'll pop back out in a year and be like as if nothing happened, right? Google went through it many, many times, right? Now, it's like he disappeared for a bit, all the stuff happened, new presidency, bam, he's back outside. Well, what did he do differently though? He didn't just look like the same person. He changed his image, he started being humorous. He started doing ads for Facebook and Ray-Bans and all this other stuff that were actually entertaining and different than what we had seen from Meta as a whole. They changed the algos to try to make it more enticing for the users to come back and want to use the platform. Notice their time on site has gone up again, whereas in years past it started to go down. It's actually started to go up again because people are noticing that Instagram is actually a great place to hang out. It's not as toxic as you think, right? They're actually making the changes that we're requesting. Maybe not at the speed we want, but they are making changes. And
Hmm.
I think he finally got to the point where he's like, I have to start listening to my users before they all leave because he got scared. When TikTok started to show up everywhere and people were like, I love TikTok and this is what I want to do. And then when TikTok Shop came out, when all these things started happening in front of him, I think he was having flashbacks of what they did to MySpace and what they did to Twitter and what they did to Link. Like when they were taking up all this, online real estate, and then all these other networks were popping up, but they just kept one step ahead and kept going and going and going. And then they stalled out. All of a sudden,
Hmm.
TikTok comes in and it's just killing it. I think that's when Zuck was like, I need to make a change, not only for myself but for the company too. Metaverse, scrap it, put it
Yeah.
away. That was a fad. Yeah, we changed our name to Metaverse or to Meta because of the Metaverse, but the name stuck. It's okay. So now let's just go ahead and change everything else and see what we can do. The glasses were a genius move because now people realize wearables are the future of the advertising placements. So all those glasses they're selling have a future precedent for advertising for them, right? When they do all the AR and VR stuff. And so it didn't all go to waste, but he had to make that change in himself for people to pay attention first. That's
Hmm.
why he got the six pack and did MMA and all this other stuff. But then
Yeah.
once we started paying attention, what'd he do? Oh, hey guys, I got all this cool stuff I've been wanting to show you, but y'all weren't paying attention before. Now you're paying attention. So I actually like him now for that. But it's marketing 101 if you really think about it. He just changed the
Hmm.
hook. That's all he did. He changed the hook and he went back out there and it happened to work and he's running with it. That's it. Now they're making more money than ever.
Huh. If he asked you to come on as a consultant, would you do it?
Hell yes. So Meta changed my life because when my business, every agency or every business in general goes through these waves of massive profitability and then tanks and then profitability and then tanks. And it's not because we don't know what we're doing. It's the changes of the business, right? Every time Meta made drastic algorithm changes, every advertiser went through hell for a couple months, sometimes even a year, right? For me, it was more so every time I made adjustments to how we do our business for people, or every time a platform had changed, we lost business. It was just natural for that to happen. COVID lost half our client base due to fear, right? Tariffs lost all of our ecom people due to fear, right? Every time something like that happens, we lose a bulk of people because in the agency space, our job is to make you a lot of money. But when you feel like you're losing a lot of money due to external factors, the first thing you cut is your marketing and advertising expense. So we get hurt. So because of that, I've been through several variations of my business where it's like we had big upswing and then it's like oof, just right back down. So Meta saved my life twice, 2015 and in 2020, 2021, that time frame, because this is the platform that I was able to talk to the people that wanted what I had to offer. This is where my friends and family reside. This is where when I put out a piece of content that resonates with a lot of people, it gets shared with hundreds of thousands of people very, very quickly. And then on top of that, I'm able to communicate to pretty much every single person that I want to be in communication with on both Facebook, Instagram, and even WhatsApp all over the world. And I know that they're on these platforms. I don't have deep conversations with people on LinkedIn or on Twitter, X, right? Or on Pinterest. YouTube, I'm just there consuming, right? But where am I having conversations? All of the Meta platform, the whole thing, right? And
Hmm.
so that has allowed me to stay in business, stay in contact with people, find new friends, stay in contact with the ones I already have, right? Just keep all those in a place where I know it's not going anywhere. And every time we thought Meta was going to disappear, it just came back even better, right? And so for me, it was like you if they asked me to come in and tell my story, I'd be like, sure, when? Like when do you need me? Right? Because I wouldn't say Zuck did that himself, but it was like the byproduct of him developing Facebook and then buying Instagram and all of that has just done nothing but help us grow as a business and then also allow me to evolve as a person because
Hmm.
this is where I'm making all of my connections.
Yeah. Meta for life.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
Yep.
David, I'm sure you're not doing this all alone at this point. Maybe to start, but I'm sure you built out a team. Can you walk us through the team you currently have and kind of how
Yep.
you went about scaling that team?
Yep. So it's myself, two assistants. I would call them more like utility women because they do a little bit of everything, right? Assistants just the title they wanted to give themselves, but they do a little of everything. I have three media buyers full time. One of them is I'll call him like the master media buyer of the team, and then I have um, a woman on my team who's really good at Google and YouTube. So like she just hones in on that. I mean, she can handle an ungodly amount of accounts by herself just because she's so systematized and just crushes it with Google. And then I have another media buyer that's a utility man. He's great on every network that I've put him on. Just figures things out. Very
Mm,
data driven, right? So the two assistants, three media buyers, and then I have two designers. One of the designers is a AI and Photoshop genius. So it's like he just makes magic with designs for all of our clients and he works very quickly. And then the other designer, he's actually great with animations, which actually falls right into video. So he does a little bit of video as well. And that helps us with coming up with creative design for our clients. Like if they want to do a video, but they don't want to do a full length thing, I got two designers that could work together and create animated imagery, essentially video, but like GIF styles, or they can do, they could turn a digital product that's a still image into like a turnstile type of video, even though it was just a single image. Because now with AI, we could do all those things. So I have like just power players in each of these different segments,
mm,
and my main focus with that was like I wanted my people to be just strategically placed in a way where if I'm not there, the business keeps running. Now, notice I didn't say I have a phone closer. I didn't say I have an appointment setter. None of that stuff. Why? When people come to us, yes, they know that they're contacting us, and most likely they're going to hear my voice in a response. Most likely. But when they come to us, it is apparent that if we entertain your company as someone we could potentially help, it is not just you making the decision. I am making the final decision. So I
mm,
don't need a appointment setter or salesperson to be like, yeah, I can get them to close. Yeah, that'd be great. If we have so many leads that I can't take on calls, absolutely. But lately, we've been the one to say, you know what, we can't take on your project. When would you like for us to start? We're making the decision. And even if you
mm,
believe as a company that you're the one that makes the final say, you could say, you know what, man, we want you to start next Monday. I could look at everything and go, no, not going to happen. I don't think it's a project we're going to take on because I know it works. I know it works for us. I only want to work with people we can have success with. I'm not perfect by any means, but we have a damn good track record. So it's like I want to
mm,
keep that going. And so I keep my team lean, not even because of the operating expense, mostly just because like these are my superstars. Like we know what we do great at, and we can handle a lot of accounts because of that. Um, so I don't have a gigantic team. I have a team of just straight killers, and that's what we do. So
mm.
yeah, 7 people. If you want to include myself, we'd make it 8.
Got it. Okay. Sounds like you built out a great team and more so obviously focus on the quality versus quantity when it comes to the clients. I'm curious, do you work on a rev share model at all?
We do have some performance. I call them hybrid deals. There is some, there's still a structured base in there, so that way we can at least fulfill things. And of course, I always pay out bonuses, and like we have, additional expenses that pop up here and there. So we never want to take on something without some sort of base. But when we do these performance deals, they could be percentage of spend, percentage of sale. Maybe it's a hybrid between like a percentage of sale with a little bit of like a bonus KPI if we hit a certain range of sales. Like there's all sorts of different structures we have, you know, pay per lead. But oftentimes the one that we get are percentage of spend up to a certain point because, some people don't want to be paying $100,000 a month when they're spending $1 million. But then at the same time, the one that we've been getting a lot more now are percentage of the deals that we generate, right? So we have full tracking and make sure that, hey, if we get you a $20,000 roofing project, we are getting a piece of that. And so we've been getting a lot of percentage of sale style of deals, mostly in home service or even like insurance claim based type of industries, where it's like insurance claim for uh, a house that got burned down, right? So it's like we're working between the construction company and the insurance company, and we get a bridge of commission on both, right? So it's like
Nice.
we've been doing a lot more of that. With digital product, it's more like percentage of spend, right? Up to a certain point. So it really just depends on the industry.
Got it. Okay. And has that been a constant in the business over the almost 20 years, or has that changed over time?
That would be in the last 5 years. I would
Okay.
say that from it's funny to call it the COVID era, but since then, it has been that people are just, they've been inundated with media buyers coming in and being like, it's 3,000 a month, it's 5,000 a month, it's $10,000 a month, and then the work just doesn't get done, or it gets done poorly, or they are just doing enough to get by, right? So it's like they're not quite fulfilling at the rate that they need to in order to justify the cost, right? I'm not saying we're the most expensive. We're also not the cheapest. We're sort of like in the middle, and that could be dangerous. But at the same time, I consider it to be the market rate, right? Because at the end of the day, the work's going to get done. I'm going to supply you with a ton of education as to why we did what we did and how we got to this point. And then when we are ready to scale, you're not going to say no to what we propose on what the scale is going to look like, because we're going to make sure that everyone's taken care of, both our side and yours. And we're not going to ask for a gigantic percentage that kills your margins and then essentially the business as well. There's a lot of
Mm.
agencies that have done that. Oh, well, yeah, you could pay us $10,000 a month and then 30% of the sales. What? Like that? You're not even, you didn't build the product. What are you doing? Right. But that happens a lot. So there's this perceived, like there's a story behind a lot of agencies being like, oh, agencies just scam you. So of course we've built out
Mm.
models where it's like, we want you to win, but like we're not going to take pennies either. So we find the right baseline for that. So it's been a lot more in the last 5 years, because people now look at every little detail on their balance sheet. And when they look at that marketing and advertising expense, yes, it includes the actual ad spend itself and our management fees. But when they look at that, that better have returned at least 2 times the amount that they spent, or else they are not going to keep you. Period.
Yeah.
Right. And so, when we do our numbers, we're like, you know what? Let's put some performance in there so that way they can get a little bit of leeway in the beginning. Because if we know we get them the result, they're going to be more than happy to give us 7, 10, 15%, whatever it may be on the deal, because we've made them exponentially more.
Mm. Yeah, quick wins are important.
Yep.
Absolutely. 2026 is slowly but quickly creeping up on us. I'm
Mhm.
curious, do you have any goals you set for yourself in the business for next year you're looking to achieve?
Mine are less about the money and more so about my time. Right.
Mm.
So I know I just talked about I don't have salespeople and everything, but that's that's changing. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be bringing on basically, I'll call it more like a CMO role. Maybe it's fractional in the beginning, but we're going to bring on someone that's more of a CMO, mainly because in my line of work, it's not necessarily that you have to come up with all the strategy when you're jumping on these calls with people. They just want to know why. They just want to know why you did what you did and how did you get to this point. And very rarely do you find someone who can communicate that as well as the person who's done it for almost 20 years.
Mm.
It's very difficult. And so even my own media buyers, two of them out of the three were trained by me personally. And so they know what I know, but they've only done it for 5, 6 years. So when I go into a conversation with them, they say what they say. I'm always able to add more. And that's what the clients like. They like to know the full context. Having someone on board who can do that would replace hours of my time, where they could just go into these meetings or go into onboarding or whatever it may be and not have me involved in that. I'm a strategic planner for all campaigns. I should only be around for when I'm building out strategy and making sure it's implemented correctly. That's it. The other stuff is the other stuff. I shouldn't have to do that anymore. And so to have someone else be basically my partner in crime in doing those things
Mm.
would allow me to then focus on what I'm great at, because that's where I know we can maximize output, generate more money for the company, and also for the people we're doing work with. And so I'm going to be bringing on that person in 2026. And then at the same time, we're just going to expand our offerings. Not necessarily more services, but there is something to the consulting side of our business, which has done incredible this year. And a lot of those people that I've consulted with upgraded to become a client. So the more consulting I do, the bigger the business becomes. And lastly, more speaking. I'm just moving my time from doing calls with people to, let me talk to your business in person. Let me talk to the stage of people that you've put me on. Like doing more of that.
Mm.
Because I have this belief that when I'm in the room and I start talking, people listen. Right? It's like there's obviously something I know that most people don't, because I started so early.
Sure.
So just let me do my thing. Right? And I do it
Mm.
with confidence because I actually have data to back it up. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that next year, because all those actions will inevitably grow the business anyway. Right? So the number won't matter. I just know the number will be a lot bigger than where we're at now. So yeah.
Absolutely. Get David out there more. I got to say, though, it's going to be tough to find a CMO that's close to your level. It's going to be a tough
even
job to find.
even if it's 8 to 10 years, I think it's just being able to look at something and then be creative with what you're seeing from the data, right? How often do you meet someone who can look at an ad report and then immediately go, I know what the problem is? Not many. I can, right? But there's not many people like that. But there are people out there that exist that have done this and are far smarter than me. I just haven't found them yet. And when I do find that person, they are going to be taken care of, and they get to work with people who just that we don't get in your way. Like there's no one hovering over you being like, "Hey, did you get that report done?" No, you know what you got to do. Just make sure it's done. Right? I'm
Yeah.
probably one of the easiest going CEOs, so to speak, of the company. But at the end of the day, it's like I just want us to get results for people, and we all benefit. We all make pretty good money for a small company because we're just really good at what we do. Right? So I'm looking to just help bring on that person, at least for the business, bring on that person to where it's like, do what you know you are great at, work with me on these campaigns, help me expand my knowledge as to what we can do to help these companies grow further. And then I will make sure that you're only working on the stuff that you love to do. Like that's what
Mm,
every person in the company wants to be doing. It's like, my media buyers don't want to be on calls. Great. Then I'm going to give you 2 times the amount of accounts. And if you're okay with that, awesome. You won't take any calls. And as soon as they told me they don't want to take calls, awesome. Don't be mad when I give you 15 accounts.
mm,
That's it. And they've been great ever since. So
mm.
that's how I've been building out the structures for the company, because
Yeah.
I don't know many agencies that do that with their people. They just go, this is what your role is, and that's it. I look for what is it that you want to do? Oh, I would just want to work on accounts. Awesome. How many can you handle? I don't know. All right, well, I'm gonna give you 20. And if you can't handle 20, we'll go to 15. Like we'll find that sweet spot, and I just want you to do the absolute best with that. And then I go to the
Mhm.
next person, then the next person. So that's how I'm optimizing the business, and we're gonna keep going that way.
Yeah, you got good client, but also employee retention as well. So
Yep.
obviously they're liking it. Love it. David, where can the listeners find you? Where can they connect with you online?
So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Just search David Schloss. I do have the blue check, so you know it's me. The face matches up. I look exactly like this everywhere. If you search me, I'm usually the top result for my name. LinkedIn, same thing. They're not all the same handles because there's other David Schlosses out there. But David M. Schloss on Instagram, Facebook, if you just type David Schloss, I should pop up. LinkedIn, David M. Schloss. I'm on those 3 platforms the most. And so you can hit me up there. Happy to have a convo with you guys. And if you ever want any sort of consulting or done for you, that's where you want to reach me first, because you'll get an immediate answer. And then we can just take the convo from there.
Perfect. David, pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for your time, my friend.
You got it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And that will wrap up another inspiring episode of the Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go and connect with David on all of the social media. All of those links will be in the show notes and description down below. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're looking to scale your business, and you really want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with our team and discover how we went from 0 to 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing.